Hey, what's up everybody? My name is Zelkenon and bringing you another Smite super build. This is probably my third Ares build video for this series. My very first one was a bit it's definitely dated, my first Ares build. And my second one was improved. But the way I played with those, I didn't really mention and talk and go too much in depth with those builds. With those builds, I don't really rely on myself for damage. I rely on my teammates for damage since I always played with my clanmates. I didn't really need to do the damage. I just needed to be, tanky and have a lot of cooldown reduction. So that's more of how I play with those builds. I realize that not everybody plays that way. And doesn't always play with other people that they can quickly, speak to on TeamSpeak or whatnot. This build here offers both tanky and power, really utilizing his passive, and actually getting a lot of damage off yourself. As you see, if some people may not know, Ares passive, each completed aura item that Ares owns grants him 30 additional magical power, and this is permanent. As long as you have aura items, you keep it. There's no timer on it or anything. And also, if you kind of glance at his abilities, you may think at first glance like his abilities don't do too much damage. But if you fought an Ares, or you played at Ares, or if you just simply read in depth with the skills, his abilities are damage over time, such as his shackles is 1 and his searing flesh is 3. And also his ulti does do quite a bit of damage. So he can absolutely do the damage. So this is kind of a kind of expected build for Ares, is just to go all aura items, right? So some people may not think of that, just go all aura items, but what I see done incorrectly is Ares that don't build cooldown reduction. I don't care if we go on recommended build or all tank build or all aura items build, you need to have at least one cooldown reduction item, and the cheapest route is probably to go just with boots. Just straight up go with the mage boots, the shoes of focus. Now you gotta be careful when you buy this in your first stages of your match. You're gonna be extremely squishy because you have no defense and no HP right off the bat. So pretty much this allows you to get a 50% cooldown reduction, as you see there, and this allows you to start your chain of ultis that are that have shorter cooldowns than the purification beads, which your opponents will most likely be building. So with this alone, you can outdo their purification beads, as long as you keep on top of your ulti timers. Just go every time your ulti is ready, or within a few seconds, with your other allies. And if you have, if you're playing with clanmates or teammates or whatever, tell them to get some cooldown reduction items. That way you can kind of plan all your ultis together, because it kind of offsets it when you're the only one that has your ulti up and nobody else really has her up. So kind of plan accordingly with that. So when I first started a match, I never play Ares in Conquest, by the way. I do not recommend playing him in Conquest, because he's awful in Conquest. But besides the fact is, try to rush Shoes of Focus, and at the same time buy Blink. So when I first start, I buy Blink 1 and Shoes. And then when I can, I finish the Shoes off, and then after I finish the Shoes off, then I finish the top left tier of Blink. This is the best Blink to get on Ares because it's only a 45-second cooldown that works really well with your ulti, and also you gain 40% movement speed after blinking for 1 second. So it allows you to make your last adjustments accordingly to your ulti. So that works really well with the combo. And then just straight up go all aura items. I start with Sovereignty. This immediately helps you out and your team out a lot, because since you don't have any defense or HP with your with your boots. This gives you that. It gives you a crap load of physical protection and a lot of HP. And at the same time, it helps out your allies right off the bat with giving their increased protections. And this stacks really well with your bolster defense, which also gives your teammates extra defense, as you see here. Protection, CC reduction, all that wonderful stuff there. So it kind of stacks twice, and that makes you in team fights after you do your ulti really tanky. So all your guys on your team are really tanky, and it works out well. And it also kind of knocks off that expensive item, first. And then I like to go Void Stone. It's another our items as everything is, but I rush this one as my third item. That way, when you have like a Quang or a Rawl or whatever magical guy on your team. They do more damage with their ulti and complement to your ulti when you pull them all in. Then of course, Pestilence. I like the stats of it. It's just sometimes the aura can be a little not really useful. It's only really useful if obviously you're fighting a healer like Hell or Aphrodite or whatever, or if you're fighting a high HP 5 god like Hercules or Fomana or Shock that have really high regeneration. So this kind of shuts them down if you don't know that. So this is just a great item for that. A lot of people don't really think about of using these items when fighting a high health regeneration god. So that's a really great item. Mystical Mark, also another aura item, obviously. This helps out, like, as soon as you pull them in, you immediately start doing damage yourself, on top of, you know, if you have them chained up, or if you're using your Searing Flesh, you just have a lot of damage over time, like a lot of dots. So this works well. And then also Rod of Elispis, or Elispius, whatever, how you pronounce that, I don't know. But this is a really great item. Yeah, it gives a lot of magical power, which is really awesome for a tank. It's a lot of fun, actually, and you get the little, little bonus health. Since Ares doesn't have that great of health per level, also gives you more movement speed, so that allows you to kind of chase after them and shackle them down. So it works well. The aura can be, once again, kind of useless depending if you don't have healers on your team or high HP 5 gods on your team, but this is the kind of typical route that I see most areas go, but you kind of want to pay attention to what order you get in them, and make sure you have a cooldown reduction item. Because the thing is, if you don't get a cooldown reduction item on Ares, every time you pop your ultimate, the opponent is going to have their purification beads up, and there goes that. Because if you like, for example, what I'm trying to say is purification beads, if they have the top tier, that is 90-second cooldown, your ultimate with no CDR is 90 seconds. So it kind of makes you useless. Now, if they have purification beads and ages, that can be a little offsetting. You may want to sell one of your items, maybe Pestilence or the Rod, and go ahead and get Breastplate of Valor. Now this will ensure that your ultis will most likely always land, because you're going to have Breastplate of Valor, 25% on top of your 15%, that brings it to cap at 40% CDR, and you're always going to land your ulti. So just keep that in mind if they build like Magi's Blessing, or they have beads and ages. Just make sure that, another little tip, try to get as many people as you can with your ulti to all offset their purification beads and ages and all that stuff. Just keep on top of your ulti. That's the main thing with Ares. And what some people may not know is you can chain multiple gods with your shackles. Like, you shackles one, and if it lands, you can keep shackling. So you can keep shackling the same person, dealing extra damage, or it can shackle multiple people and do multiple damage to enemies. So with just these items alone, as you see, we have a lot of HP, pretty decent, 3400. A good amount of power, 315 for a tank, that's pretty nice. And 222 physical defense, 183 magical defense, and with our Rod, we have a little bit more bonus speed with 460. Hold on. Doing great. I'm recording. Say hi to YouTube. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to Raw. So just so you can kind of see what I'm talking about with the damage output. So don't mind getting blinded here for a second. Okay, so as you see, the shackles alone are ticking 132. That's quite a lot, and the yellow number is the mystical mark. So let's go ahead and cut them a little bit back here, and let's use our 3 Searing Flesh. So 50, 43, 40, yeah, that's a lot of damage right off the bat. And mystical mark finished them off. So Searing Flesh, it does damage per tick, and then it has a percentage of max HP per tick. So that's a lot of damage over time, and also you can see it has percentage of your magical power, and then also Mystic Mark, as you saw, it's just a lot of damage over time with Ares. I actually got yelled out by this one guy. He was playing Hebo, And of course, he had like no type of defense whatsoever. He was just a paper cannon, and I could 1v1 this Hebo. And it was, after the match, he just called me names and in all caps lock. It was a lot of fun. So with all these damage items, and as long as you play, you know, pretty aggressively and kind of get all your ultis together with your teammates and whatnot, you can do a lot of damage. The highest I've gone with ARES is like on about 36,000 player damage. You can check on my match history of a few matches where I did all my aura items, and it worked really well. So that pretty much. Oh yeah, my potions. That's right, and I forgot to mention active. So 315. Then we get our magical might. 365 elixir. 456. Of course, you can afford those. Let's go ahead and get red buff. Now also, the second active, Enfeebling Curse works really well. So after you pull them in, go ahead and pop your Enfeebling Curse. This slows them down by like 40%. And so they're not going to get away after, you know, if they get stunned again or whatnot. So they're going to be slowed by 40%, trying to run away. And then their attack speed is going to be reduced by 30%. So if you pull in, you know, some assassins or hunters or whatever, they're not really going to be able to fight back at all whatsoever with that. I see the damage output is just ridiculous for a tank. So we have red buff as well. 544 magical power. So let's go ahead and do one more test on Raw. And okay, alright, let's go ahead and blank, make it quicker. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and shackles, fire, and look at that damage go. Pretty nice for a tank, not too bad. With the passive of ARES, it's just he can go hybrid really quickly. So that will pretty much sum it up for this video. Thank you all for watching. Let me know in the comments below of how you feel about this build and if this build has helped you, or if you want to see a different build for a different god or whatever. And as always, like I said, thanks for watching and see you guys later.